Already today's the challenge, the SCRS stealth, no safecracking, no lockpicks, and reinforced cameras. So we aren't actually planning on bringing any lockpicks because that's kind of not how this works, but all in all, this is generally quite reminiscent of just generic SCRS, without any of the conjured tricks, because, well, hold on first. Because, well, even with reinforced cameras, it's not really... First of all, let's not get caught by the camera over there. It's not Takedown Limit, and it's not extra cameras, so we have essentially zero reason to actually disable cameras, so... we're just going to not disable camera. And that's reinforced camera sorted. Aside from that, there's no lockpicks, which... there are two doors with lockpicks that we could possibly have a lockpick open. This is the first one, and it's already open. This is the second one, and it's... not actually necessary. Now, we could in theory just open it by going around the other end, which is perfectly viable and is something that we can most definitely do. Do we need to do that? No, not really. Is it a viable good solution? Not really either, so in other words, no lockpicks is completely irrelevant over here. And then finally, there's no safecracking, which, just like how there are two doors, there are two safes. And well, to put it quite simply, one safe contains the high security keycard, and the other one contains generally a USB, but not for us in our case, so in other words, we haven't actually got much use for it. Right, and you over there, before you go over there and see all of that's happening over there, we're just gonna knock you out, and well, we're not really all that fun for getting actually an unsuppressed weapon, which we won't really get to use, so in other words, it's not a very appealing prospect to just straight up go in and get any of the safes open, because for the high security keycard, there's a technician over there, which is conveniently right over where we want, so we're just gonna quickly grab the gun, go through here, and then advance swiftly to try and hopefully get a keycard, because that's kind of what we want. Now we're just gonna do that. We're gonna not grab the disguise over there because we still have a lot more to do right now. And then we're just gonna grab the keycard and then work from there on out, which seems perfectly fair, so absolutely fantastic. Right then, you over here, put your hands up, put your hands up, and put your hands up over there, which has all since been sorted. So we're just gonna hack the cameras, and then, well, we've got a keycard now, and no safecracking is, with absolute certainty, completely useless. So that's that, and Cyber's the disguise, so that's always great. We'll just leave that in there, and then we'll just shut the door behind Cyber, because that's something perfectly fair to do. Now, we have actually disabled the control room, so we're just gonna make sure that we... well, that's not the one that we're looking for, so we're just gonna move along and, well, get a door shut on us, which is always great to feel, and then, well, instead we're just gonna go over there, check for the one over here, and then afterwards disable the weapon scanner alarms, which is kind of what we want. So instead we're just gonna go over here. We're gonna get this open just so that we can actually get started on doing something. And then afterwards, hopefully we won't meet an agent coming in over here, which will be quite detrimental to what we're trying to do over here, so you're not gonna be of any concern because you're not an agent. That's the simplest explanation I could possibly ever come up with. Now, Cyber's following Nightshade over there, and I'm just keeping track of where Hemlock's going because, well, it might be genuinely of concern. It is no longer of any concern whatsoever because that's a completely useless spot. So we're just gonna go through here, and then we're just gonna knock it out over there. And now we've got a keycard, and hopefully we've got a USB, which seemingly Cyber has a USB, so hopefully Cyber does indeed have the USB, because that would be rather awkward if that's not the case, so we're just gonna leave that in there. And then we're just gonna work on actually getting all of these started. And then hopefully Cyber has a USB, because otherwise, well, things are gonna be quite bad. That or Nightshade's still up, which would be perfectly fine as well. So we're just gonna go through here, check for the one over here, awkwardly almost get caught over there, and then authorize this over here, which is probably not the best way of doing things, so we're just going to ignore that. Yet Cyber's going to be Well, I know the solution for that. That's a relatively simple knockout in a relatively simple location. And even though that was not the best ragdoll, we could grab the USB over there, and then just hope for the best, which is a perfectly viable strategy, and we're just gonna go over here, and then start getting the remaining ones, well, started, which we'll start with this for a start, and then we'll go in here over here, and then we'll just get this open, and then we'll just search it over here. Now, I probably should have done that a bit earlier because we could just get a USB at quite literally any time whatsoever, so that we can end this all, well, sooner, which is generally objectively better, but sometimes might not be better, but that's not really the point of contention here. We're just gonna get this open, and then we're just gonna awkwardly wait over here. And seemingly, I need a free path out of here, which I do actually have one. But we're gonna wait over here, we're gonna get this started, and then hopefully no one's gonna walk in on us, which I find highly unlikely because the main technician is down, the agents are down, and I highly doubt anyone's gonna pathfind through here, which, if someone does, that's gonna be quite unfortunate, but we can most definitely make do with that, and we'll just put in the USB, hopefully we won't get any surprises on the way out, and then, well, it's a very simple run, straight through here, out of here, out through here, and then completely out of here, which, I mean, there's a body over there. Maybe not all that great, but we can most definitely make do with that. Jump over there, seemingly missed that completely, but then afterwards, regardless of that, that's the daily challenge in just under 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Cheers everyone, have a great time!